Hello everyone, I am Nathan, the Charleston Antkeeper, and today we'll be taking a look at one of my Pheidole colonies. I have them housed in a Tar Heel Ants mini hearth setup, and they seem to love it. Now Pheidole, or big-headed ants, get their name from their dimorphic worker caste. That means that they have two types of workers. They're small, regular-looking ones called minors, and large soldiers with big heads called majors. Now, this difference in worker caste is often the reason people like to keep Pheidole. Now, the queens are fully claustral, so you don't need to feed the queens. Just keep them in a nice setup with access to moisture like a test tube setup, and leave them for a while. Your patience will be rewarded with some very fun ants to keep. Now, I've checked with a few different people, and we seem to suspect that this is a Pheidole Tysoni colony, but you're welcome to correct us if our assumptions happen to be off. If it is Tysoni, then this colony is very unique because this almost 3-year-old colony happens to have 3 queens. How cool is that? I keep them on a diet of fruit flies, crickets, and mealworms, with also some nuts for the protein, with sugar water, sunburst ant nectar, or honey for their sugar fix. These girls may be very small, but they have exhibited some very interesting behavior. First and foremost to me is their calm efficiency. And yes, you heard me right. These gals are the most calm ants I have ever had the honor of keeping. When they first discover food, they don't bolt back to the nest, but instead very carefully return with this almost slow, cautious pace. It's almost like the worker is either trying not to be obvious how excited she is, or maybe she's worried about getting picked off by a predator before she can tell her sisters about the food she found. When the call does go out, the miners swarm though. Wherever the food is, they very carefully begin deconstructing the entire food item and form a very nice, organized line and area where they're deconstructing this food. Now, a funny thing is often the first worker to get back to the food after they've first spotted it almost always tries to drag it back. If it's a cricket, they grab their antenna. If it's a fruit fly, they start dragging it along the floor or anything. And almost always her sisters never help her out. She's always stuck dragging it back to the nest, struggling the entire time while her sisters carefully deconstruct or eat their fill and then go back to the nest. And it just happens to be something really funny about it. Now, their majors also exhibit some cool behaviors. First and foremost, they stand guard at the nest. But oftentimes I always see majors near, at least one, near the queens. It's almost as if they have their own captain of the guard, as you will. So there's always a major near the queens, and not just the procession, you could call, of other workers that groom and make sure the eggs are taken care of as they're laid. Now, when out from the nest, these majors of these Pheidole are very shy, shockingly so. They even run from small dead prey items like fruit flies, even if they're already dead. But if just one of her smaller, slightly more excitable sisters taps her on the head and says, "Go kill," now she charges with a furious rage in her step, and it's really cool to watch. Now, instead of the workers scurrying about looking for whenever their food is given to them in the outworld, I often see groups of 2 to 5 in the outworld very slowly scanning and going over every inch of the outworld in an almost swirly pattern. They're combing the desert, you could say. I'm not sure where they get this behavior or if it just is a behavior commonly found in Pheidole. Now, for keepers, I rate these gals a 10 out of 10 for everyday ant keepers. Their fun behavior and great diversity of workers will keep any ant keeper busy and make for some very fun pictures to take because of their golden color. However, sadly, their small size, ease of hurting workers or the queen, and their habit of escaping their enclosures could mean that beginner ant keepers might have some trouble here and might want to approach these gals a little more slowly. So I give them a 6 out of 10 beginner score. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this peek into these golden girls' lives, but let me know in the comments if you want to see more of them, more of the queens, more of their behavior, or if you'd like to see some of my other colonies. Most happen to be in the founding stages, but there's a few species I'd love to take a deeper dive into. Now I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day or night wherever you are, and happy hunting.